Really need to drink this tea before it gets cold. Hi book besties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking through all of the romantasy series that are at the top of my TBR. Some of them are completed series, some of them are ongoing series. I have quite a few on Kindle Unlimited, some are not on Kindle Unlimited. I will be going through all of these things as I talk about them. But I'm hoping that by going through this list of series that are at the top of my priority list, you can also maybe get some recommendations, or if you have read some of these and loved them, please let me know, tell me that they need to be right at the top of my list and I need to read them ASAP, okay? I need your help here. Okay, so the first series that I have, this series is a bit of a joke how often I say I'm gonna read it and I just have not read it. Like this, the first book in this series is on my TBR every month and I don't get to it, still haven't got to it. But this series is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I think that's what the series is called, but if it's not, I will correct myself on screen. This is a completed series, I think. There's just 3 books in the series. It's a dark gothic fantasy romance. So I believe the premise of this one is our female main character makes a deal with death. Death has never been far from her. She has had a string of different guardians, each of them meeting an untimely end. So she has had a lot of death in her life, but she ends up making a deal with death. What for? I don't know. I've seen quite a few people really enjoy this one, and the vibes and the plot just sound really different to anything else I've ever read in the fantasy genre, really. Although this could be super wrong, but it's kind of giving me Addie LaRue vibes. If you have read Addie LaRue and you have read Belladonna, am I right in thinking that there's kind of some similar vibes there, or am I way off mark? Let me know, because The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is like one of my favourite fantasy standalone books ever, and a certain romance or plot point in that book like I was obsessed with, I died over. And if that's going to be similar vibes in Belladonna, then I really do need to get to it ASAP. Okay, next we have another trilogy, and this is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Marin? This one is available on Kindle Unlimited at the moment anyway. It's a YA trilogy. In this one, our female main character is a witch, but she has to keep this secret because in this world, witches are hunted and burned, so it's not a good place to be a witch. However, somehow she finds herself being set to marry a witch hunter, and I think that there is a romance there between those two characters, I assume. After loving The Crimson Moth, I cannot wait to read Rebel Witch later this month. I wanted to try some more witchy fantasy vibe books. I definitely feel more drawn to fae fantasy and romantasy books, but I don't know, I do want to give the witchy vibes more of a go because I loved The Crimson Moth, and that one is kind of like a similar setting in terms of our female main character's a witch, it's not good to be a witch, like witches are hunted. So similar vibes, and yeah, I would like to read this series. I also have the first book in like a spin-off series that's in this world, but I feel like I may as well read Serpent and Dove first because both are on my TBR. Okay, next we have the Ember Quartet by Sabir Tahir. So I believe that this world is inspired by ancient Rome. We have an empire, and defiance against the empire means death. But when our female main character's brother is arrested, she looks for help from the rebellion. And in return for their help, she goes to spy for them, I think, at the military academy. And that's where she meets our male main character, who is a soldier, I think. I have absolutely no idea where the plot goes with the series. And also I feel like I may have heard that the romance is more of a subplot in this, like it's not a romantasy, it's more of a fantasy with a romance subplot, but that could be completely wrong. I do not know. I do like to go into everything blind, so I like to not know too much, but yeah, that's all the information that I know about this one. I've seen Emmy read this one recently and she seems to be enjoying it, and it looks like a wild ride, and I am sat for that, so yeah. Okay, next we have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is a completed trilogy. In this one, our female main character works at a prison as a prison healer. Yep, I know, who would have guessed? Honestly, that's all I know about this series. I think there are some crazy plot twists in it. I've seen very mixed things about it, and that's kind of why I haven't picked it up yet, because I'm just not sure that I'm gonna love it, but I have the first 2 books, so I need to give it a go. And also it's a complete series. Okay, next we have Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rorick, and also the Legacy series, and these 2 take place in the same universe. So firstly, talking about Lady of Darkness, this is a 5-book series. It is a complete series. It did used to be on Kindle Unlimited, but it's not anymore, and it takes place in the same world as the Legacy series. Apparently you do not have to read Lady of Darkness before you read the Legacy series, but there might be some minor spoilers if you did read Legacy series first and then go into Lady of Darkness. So because I want to read both of them, and I've had Lady of Darkness on my TBR for such a long time, I'm going to try and start with Lady of Darkness. The summary for Lady of Darkness sounds very Throne of Glassy, with our female main character being owned by an assassin lord at the start of the book, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that it does go in a very different direction, and it's definitely not like a copy and paste feel from Throne of Glass. So I have heard but it starts off similar, but it's not really. It says that in this world we have fae, we have witches, we have shifters, vampires. I love when we have all of these different fantasy beings in a world. Yeah, love that. So this one is complete. The Legacy series is not yet complete. I think there's one more book to come out. I think there's going to be 4 books in total. The first 3 are out and the 4th one comes out this year. This one is on Kindle Unlimited though. And from what I've heard, this one is a dark romantasy series, whereas I don't think Lady of Darkness is considered dark. But yeah, this one sounds really good. I've not really looked up anything about it. I just know that it takes place in the same world as Lady of Darkness and it's a dark romantasy. I've seen people talking about this one on BookTok a lot recently, and yeah, it's one that I'm really excited to get to. Okay, next we have Legends of Fesma by Helen Schrewer. This is a 4-book series. It's on Kindle Unlimited. This one sounds fun. So women are forbidden to wield weapons. So our female main character has trained in secret with the goal to get into the elite guard. She somehow knows that she will die in 3 years. That's what it says on the blurb. Like, I don't know how she knows, but she seems to know that she's only got 3 years left to live. So she's racing against the clock to achieve this dream of being in the elite guard. In the summary, it says, schemes are afoot and darkness looms. And that just sounds fun. And I'm pretty sure this is a complete series and it is on Kindle Unlimited. Next we have the Bargainer series by Laura Falasa. This is a 4-book series. It is on Kindle Unlimited. This is another dark romantasy series. Our female main character is a siren and she receives some favours from the Bargainer. All very cryptic, means nothing to me. He hadn't yet collected repayment from her, but he has now come to collect. Honestly, that's all I know, and that's all I really want to know because this sounds exciting to me, and I feel like just from the summary I feel like I love this bargainer. Like, I feel like he's going to be my kind of guy. He sounds morally grey, he sounds dangerous, and I'm here for that. I'm excited. Okay, and then we have Shadows of the Tenbrus Court by Claire Sager. I think this is a 3-book series. I think it's now complete, but I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes it's really hard to find the correct information. This one is on Kindle Unlimited. We have a royal court setting in this one, which love. Like, I love a royal court fantasy setting. That is just like perfection to me. I think we also have a morally grey male main character. I think there's an enemies to lovers romance in this. Need I say any more? Sign me up, please. I would like to read this one. The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. This is a complete 5-book series. In this one, our female main character is a princess, I believe, and she is set to marry the king of a rival kingdom. But actually her real goal is to kill him. She's been training for a really long time to do this, but when she gets there and she starts to spend time with him, she starts to question with which kingdom her loyalties should actually lie. This is quite an old series, but I feel like it's a bit of a classic, a romantasy series. I think that the later books in this series start to follow different characters and different romance, and it might only be the first 2 books in the series that follow that like plot and couple that I just spoke about. But yeah, I would like to read this. It's a classic and I need to get to it. My tea's gone cold. Next we have Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a 4-book series, I think, and I think that it is either complete or it's very soon going to be complete. Like, I think this series is coming to an end if it's not already come to an end. And this is like a prequel spin-off series of Blood and Ash. And I read the first 3 books in Blood and Ash a few years ago. I really enjoyed book 1 and 2, and then book 3 I just did not really enjoy. It just really dragged me and was a bit boring, so I kind of like stopped that series and never went back to it. However, I've heard that Flesh and Fire is really good and better than Blood and Ash, and I just feel like I want to give it a go. And the correct reading order for this series, if you're reading both series, is to read the first Flesh and Fire book after the 3rd Blood and Ash book. So technically that's where I got up to anyway, so I'm going to read the first Flesh and Fire book and then just see where I want to go from there, whether I just read Flesh and Fire, whether I get back into Blood and Ash, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've read it, so I definitely am going to need to look up a little bit of a refresher because I'm going to have no idea what's going on. The books are also bricks, like they are massive. The Blood and Ash books and the Flesh and Fire books. So yeah, that's like why I've been a bit put off, but I've just heard it's so good and I just need to give it a go. Okay, next we have House of Devils by Kayla Edwards. This is going to be a 5-book series, I think. I don't think it's complete yet, and this is a dark urban fantasy, and people compare it to Crescent City, which does kind of worry me because I am not a huge Crescent City fan. I still need to read the 3rd Crescent City book, but yeah, it's I don't hate it, but it's definitely not like my favourite. I think overall I'm not a massive urban fantasy fan, but still this is on my TBR because people seem to absolutely love it, and I feel like I just need to at least give it a go. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't really know the plot of this one at all, so I think we have lots of different supernatural creatures, kind of similar to Crescent City, and I think our female main character is actually a human. But yeah, I don't know, I've just heard such good things about it, so I feel like I just need to give it a go, even though when I first heard about it I was like, no, I'm not a big urban fantasy girl, I'm not gonna love it, but like everybody seems to be reading it and loving it, and I just feel like I'm missing out and I need to give it a go. Okay, next we have Fire and Metal by Rachel Schneider. Only the first book is out in this series, and I don't actually know how many books it's gonna be. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4, literally no idea. I couldn't really find any information out about that, but I've just seen lots of people reading this one. I think Emmy was the first person I ever saw read it, and then since she read it, lots of other people seem to read it and love it. It's had a lot of hype, so I feel like I just need to see what all that is about and judge it for myself. I've heard it does end on a big cliffhanger though, and I can't see that there's a release date for the next book, so that's kind of like pushing it down my TBR just a little bit, because there's so many like complete series that I could read before this one if we're gonna have to wait for the next book. I think in this one our female main character is basically a guard, and there are rumours of a growing rebellion, and she kind of starts to question her loyalties. Sorry, as you can see, and I've said before, I really like to go in blind, so I don't like to know too much. So yeah, that's what I know, but I'm expecting very typical romantasy vibes. Then we have The War of Lost Hearts by Carissa Broadbent. This is a 3-book completed series. I just realised I forgot to say that the last series was on Kindle Unlimited, and so is this one. Carissa Broadbent is the author of Crowns of Nyaxia series. I liked the first book in that series, I loved the novella, and I did not like the second book. So I'm not 100% sure whether her writing and books are for me, but I want to give this series a go. I've heard it's quite different to Crowns of Nyaxia. I think in this one our female main character is an ex-slave, and she ends up pairing up with some kind of warrior. I do see some mixed reviews on this one, but yeah, I don't know. I want to give it a go. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, next we have Neverkeep by the Twisted Sisters. Right, I apologise if you can hear any noise in the background now. Ollie has just got home, the dogs have just gone crazy, but I really need to carry on and get this video filmed, so we're just going to close the door on that and ignore it and hope that the sound is not too bad. So I was talking about Neverkeep. Oh yeah, I was saying take place in the same world as Zodiac Academy. I don't know what the actual plot of this one is other than the world that it takes place in, but I enjoyed Zodiac Academy for the most part. I do think it went on for too long. I think the books got too long, but I'm quite interested in the idea of like a new series in that world where we can meet and follow some new characters, and yeah, I want to give it a go. Only the first book is out so far, and I don't know how many books there are going to be. It is on Kindle Unlimited, so it's not like one that I'm rushing to get to, but it is on my radar and I probably will read it before too long. Okay, we are nearing the end, guys. 4 more series left. So the Harbingers series by Harper Hawthorne. I think this is a 6-book series. I think. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I tried looking up a summary for the series, but it doesn't make much sense to me, so I'm not going to try and explain it to you. But it's another dark romantasy series. That's kind of all I can tell you. That's it. That's my summary. There's only 1 book out so far, I think, and I think, as I said, there might be 6 books in this series, but again, I'm not sure where I saw that information. I don't know how to verify it. It might be completely wrong. Look, I've just heard people talking about this, and I've seen it on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm interested, but I don't know why I'm interested because I have no idea what it's about. But when I just see people love things and talk about things, like, that influences me. Like, that's enough to get me to read something. Like, I don't even need to know what it's about. Yeah. Okay, and then we have The Broken Kingdoms by L.J. Andrews. L.J. Andrews is the author of the Eversea series, which I read the first book of, and I'm not continuing, but that is because it's like a Norse-inspired piratey fantasy vibe, which is just not really my vibe. But I did overall think the writing was good, and I'm definitely interested in reading more from this author, and I think that this is a series that she wrote before this one. It says, a rebellious princess, a cursed rogue, a forbidden love that will bring a kingdom to its knees. That's probably a better description than any that I could give you. I think my main character is the niece of the king, I think, who is not very nice. And her main concern is that she wants to avoid being forced into an advantageous marriage. But rumours start to spread that the Fae are planning to return to take the crown that they believe is rightfully theirs. And I think it gets a little bit messy from there, basically. But yeah, as I said, this is a 9-book series, so that is quite a big commitment. So if you have read it, please let me know if it's actually worth picking up and reading, because it sounds good to me, it sounds interesting. As I said, I like the author's writing, but it just feels like a big commitment to pick up a 9-book series. But yeah, this one is on Kindle Unlimited if I didn't already say that. Okay, then we have Feybound by Sarah L. Riffey. I think this is going to be a 3-book series and there's 2 books out so far. This follows 2 sisters and they live in the Elven lands, but one of them basically makes a mistake, gets in trouble and is exiled. So the 2 of them flee together and they end up encountering the Fey court. And the Fey haven't been seen in a millennium, and they basically find themselves getting sucked into the seductive world of the Fae. I've had Feybound, which is the first book, sitting on my TBR for nearly a year at this point, so I really do need to get around to it because I have heard nothing but good things about this series. It's just one that kind of intimidates me, but I don't know why. Finally, we have The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. This is a completed trilogy, and this is a prequel series in the like Shadowhunters world. I used to love the Mortal Instruments books when I was younger. I tried to reread them a couple of years ago and they're just not really for me anymore, but everybody loves this trilogy that has read it. I think it's like the most beloved thing in that whole Shadowhunters world, and I've heard that it has one of the best love triangles in fantasy history, so I've got to give it a go. I love love triangles, I love fantasy books, and I just feel like I need to give it a go. So yeah, that is the last series on my romantasy TBR. In addition to this, I have obviously series that I'm in the middle of and that I want to continue. There's a few where I have like a first book in a series maybe, and I'm just not yet 100% sure that like the whole series needs to go on the TBR. But yeah, I just wanted to narrow this list down to 20 that I have been thinking about, and I would love to know your thoughts on any of these. Please let me know which ones are worth reading. If you feel like I've missed off something key, then tell me if I need to add it to my TBR. And if you have not read any of these series, then I hope that at least I have given you some ideas of series that you might want to add to your TBR as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!